I always suffered about anxiety for years, and not realizing that most of my anxiety was coming up over gender issues. Like from age 4, I was struggling trying to understand the feelings I had, and of course, age 4, I hadn't a clue what was going on with me, or words, or trying to understand the different terms. And it was only when I started to get older, I started to see things, or I started to understand more, and I pushed things away, thinking, there's something wrong with me. I was wrong. I was sick. I was going to hell. And like, for example, even buying clothes. And I merely started off buying underwear because I said, well, no one is going to know what's under my clothes. Or I'd be getting parcels in the letterbox, and parents might be asking me, what's that? Well, I just got an old t-shirt, and thankfully they never looked to see these t-shirts, or I would have panicked. But yeah, a lot of stuff like that. And then, like I said, I remember then being at a talk one day in a course I was doing, and one of my friends was there, and she was speaking about grow. And at the time, a few years previously, I had seen a counsellor again for anxiety, but I had never said that to this counsellor. I was new to the whole counselling scene at the time. Not like now I could write a book on but, but yeah, I was new to it. So his friend kept talking about grow, and I knew she was going every Friday morning, and how much she loved it. And then I was starting to think, God, I wonder if this for me. And then one day she actually stepped up in the class, and she done a whole talk about grow. And it was on the way home then I started asking her about grow, and asking her more things. And then she invited me to one of the groups. So I went to one of the Friday morning groups, and yeah, it was unusual at first. I felt at home, I felt a bit strange at the same time. So then, like, the first task is we always give someone that's new to grow, come back again. And I really started to feel at home then, and I felt near at home straight away. Like the first day I arrived, I was offered tea and biscuits or whatever was there, like, and everyone was welcome. I'm shaking hands and the whole lot. So from the start, like, I felt welcome. And yeah, then I said when I went to the second group, then I was starting to understand things more. And the more meetings I went to, like, I had lost my parents as well. I lost the two. Well, I had lost my mother only a few months before I drank grow, and my father a few years before that, and my grandmother. So I had a lot of grief as well I was dealing with when I came into grow. So sometimes I'd be very quiet at the meetings. I would have maybe sat down, but I was always listening to everyone's story and being inspired by them. And I always remember one of the members saying, if you ever go to a counsellor, you have to be honest and just say what's on your heart. They said, in order for it to work, you need to say what's on your mind and speak the truth. So I decided after a while, from listening to everyone, I said, okay, this is it. So I applied for, I think it was primary care, it's called. So I applied for that. Finally, after a couple of months, I think 7 or 8 months, I got an appointment. And I was chatting there just before I went into the girl. There was a sign on the wall. And I was trying to think of it last night, which way it was phrased, something about my body doesn't match my shadow. And it struck me straight away. So I had gone in then to the counsellor, and God, I think it was only there a couple of maybe minutes when I thought, oh, I could hear. So I just said to her, look, I said, I'm struggling. I said, with my identity, I can't remember the words I used. And so the second meeting came, and she just stopped me straight away. Before we'd say anything, she said, I have to tell you something. And she said, I knew straight away, she said, the gender issue was going to come up. And I thought, God, how did you know that? Like, oh, she said, I just knew by looking at you and listening to you. And I thought, Jesus, I thought I was hiding as well. So that was interesting. And then at the end of that as well, like, of the sessions, I think I had 8 free sessions with her. I had asked her, well, what happens from here? Like, do you tell my GP? And she had said to me, no, she said, it's all confidential. And then I asked her, I said, would you mind, I said, telling my GP, sending her a letter? Because if you don't, I'll never get the courage to do it.
Yeah.
So she did send it. And one day I was with a different doctor. I was going for bloods, but I seen this other doctor. And lovely doctor now, like, got some mad about her. And so, yeah, she had said, I went there for bloods, and then I was just heading out the door, and she asked me, have anything else you need to tell me? And I thought to myself, oh Christ, after getting the letter. And I thought, oh no, Grant, thanks very much, I'm okay. And then she said, I have a letter here from your counsellor. And then I thought, oh God. And then I just told her everything then, and she got the ball rolling straight away, like, and made me feel at home and welcome and giving me advice. And lucky enough, she had another trans patient who I kind of nearly referred to as patient X because, of course, confidentiality, she could never tell me. But fast forward a couple of months later, that person would become one of my friends and role models.
Brilliant.
Yeah, and so then I remember then like saying to my friend at the time in Grow, God, what do I do now? Like, how is everyone going to accept me and Grow? So it's one of the Friday meetings again, and there's one part of the Grow meetings where you tell your testimony or story. So if everyone has heard this story 100 times, I said, they haven't heard this bit. So I was kind of scared, as you would be when you're coming out to people. This was at the start. I hadn't come out to, I'd only come out to family at this stage and nobody else. And I had seen Grow as my family. So I had told everyone, and everyone was very welcoming, using pronouns, the correct pronouns and everything straight away. And I remember even when I was there at one stage, I got the courage to go to a support group in Dublin, which wasn't for me. It was very good and it was very helpful, but just there was too many in the group for me. I felt a bit lost. So then it was through Grow. Then it was one more. It was the second meeting. Or no, sorry, it was my first meeting again after I'd come out to everyone in Grow. Some of the members were near the previous week, and I thought, oh, Jesus, here I go again. So, so I said I better tell everyone that I had missed out.
Yeah.
So in case they wondering what's going on, like why are my pronouns and all that changed. And Mary, which was I can't remember her title now at the moment, Mary Walsh, one of the people in Grow, she had said to me, well, she said, I have a Grow meeting next week down in Clonmel. LGBTI Health South Tipperary. And yeah, so it was from Grow again, encouraged me to go there that I went. And it was mainly adults at this stage when I had joined, and one young person did join one night, which was fantastic because they were mentioning about stuff I wouldn't know about at the time. Was you can get your birth cert reissued, you can apply for gender recognition and all this. So myself and the other friend that was there, woman, she was thrilled as well. So two of us not realising, the two of us were going off straight away that night and applying for them.
Brilliant.
And then so I said from Grow, when I heard first about this peer support group that was peer support, I was thrilled because I thought straight away of Grow, this is brilliant, I can relate to it, I'm comfortable in that situation.
Yes.
That I prefer a peer-to-peer than having professionals in the room. You feel you're being judged and constantly if you had that, whereas a peer-to-peer, it's you feel the love in the room and everyone is supportive, everyone wants to help each other. Like Grow, one of the things that really helped me was every week we got a task, and so it might be something basic, like it might be a bill I've been putting off for ringing somebody, and my task then maybe might be to sort out that bill or whatever, and just to ease worries and anxieties, stuff you could be stressed out over with exams or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So then it was the LGBT in Clonmel then that really helped me then as well as Grow. Still I was still going to Grow, and eventually after a lot of hints I became a facilitator in Clonmel.
Good woman.
And again that really helped because at this stage I think I had left Grow.
Okay.
Grow was always in my head. When I'd be facilitating or whatever, I'd be using the Grow stuff would be going through my head what to be doing, and so I always had that, and it's just as well a way of giving back to everyone. I wanted to do the step 10 and just give back to society as well,
Yeah, absolutely.
And from there then, because where I'm living as well in Kilkenny, when I came out, other than Grow, there was no support for me, no one to talk to about it. But even still in Grow, of course, a lot of people wouldn't understand pronoun, understand, different things with being trans, and especially the healthcare service with hormones or that kind of stuff. Now, it was great still at the same time in Grow because I could talk to them about when I'm on the waiting list still. I still haven't heard anything, and what do you think I should do? And then it said, because when I came out in Kilkenny, there was nothing.
Yeah.
So that encouraged me then to set up a group in Kilkenny for people, which again I thought Grow, and I took my experience again from Grow with facilitating groups and like leading groups
Yeah.
and how to do it. And yeah, it was Grow. It was really, yeah, it was good. It gave me the guidance and courage, and along with the Clonmel group,
Yeah.
because I'm now facilitating 4 or 5 groups now down at Clonmel. Like.
Great. And probably the confidence as well, Becky, just to, like, it's not easy to kind of lead a group of people who may need quite a bit of support, and that takes a lot of energy and a lot of passion, and well done. And one of the things I wanted to ask you about was, I suppose when you first talk about coming to that first Grow meeting, it was more of a mental health challenge or an anxiety challenge that you felt you were coming to get help with. And how would you think that related to the gender challenge?
Yeah, it was my counsellor at the time that said that a lot of my anxiety and stuff, she said, was actually stemming coming from there.
Yeah.
And then I always remember she said to me, I said, if I do go down the road of transitioning, she said, your anxiety, she said, is going to go through the roof.
Okay.
Which it did, because of course you're worrying about. Then you have the other side of transitioning, where you have, if you go to, like, not everybody does, but some people go the medical route like I did, hormones and surgery and all that part of it. But then you have the part of misgendering. A lot of people don't understand what misgendering is.
Okay.
And that's, like we say, if somebody called you sir instead of madam, that would be like misgendering.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's dealing with that part, the social anxiety, especially at the start of transitioning, where my hair was short, and yet that part, and just constantly remember people going on websites and people could see man about obsessed with passing, and I thought, what are you on about passing? And then I started to see exactly then what they're on about, that the more you pass as a biological woman, the easier things can be, like. And then you have to hurdles like even the simple things as using the right bathroom. I remember being nervous the first time I was going up to Dublin, and I thought to myself, Jesus, I'm going to be there all day, and what am I going to do for the toilet? So I suppose some people would have said I was stupid, but I said, okay, I'm going to send an email, and I said, I'll just ask them, okay, I'm trans, which toilet would you prefer me to use? I don't want to cause any upset. They didn't mind which one I used. There was a disabled toilet if I wanted. I thought, well, I'm not disabled, so I'm not going to use that.
Yeah, but it's really eye-opening to even hear you talking about those challenges, and things that and even to think you felt you had to do that, or then you didn't, so it's all part of that journey that I suppose it's so good to hear you talk about how you went through those things and how you
And the hardest part in Kilkenny as well was actually finding a counsellor.
Okay.
To deal with trans issues. Like, a lot of people find they're great with the LGB, but the T, they just don't know, not in Kilkenny, not in especially rural Ireland.
Yeah.
Like, I know some people are travelling, one person is travelling to Cork, others are travelling other parts of Ireland. I've had to go to Dublin. I was seeing 2 in Kilkenny. One didn't understand pronouns, and somebody else told me I should buy a book of being trans. And there were 2 of them were lovely, very supporting law, but just really didn't have any education, the clue really when it came to trans issues. I felt I was the one educating them every week.
Yeah. And Becky, I suppose that's when peer support comes into its absolute own, isn't it? When the true understanding and the true compassion comes from the similar situation and the lived experience of the same problem. So
because it was, I can't remember now with COVID, but it was a long time ago anyway, a few years back. I was dealing with somebody else in the group, in the trans group in Clonmel, and they had asked me a hand with their clothes and the whole lot, and I did, and I was delighted to do with their makeup. So I had started a beauty therapy course. And one stage then I was just, I looked back at this person, I was just starting to cry.
Wow.
And they had asked me, what's wrong with you? And I said, no, I'm okay, I'm fine. Like, and I just waved it off and went out. And I got home that night and I thought to myself, why the hell did I get so upset over that?
Yeah.
And then it just hit me that I was looking back where I was.
How far you'd come. Yeah. It's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first time that was the first time it really hit me how far I had come, like. And
Yeah.
then I remember starting a beauty therapy course here in Kilkenny. And again, the first day I had to go off in the afternoon, I had an appointment in the hospital. So I came back then that afternoon, or no, sorry, the next day when I found out my friend that everyone had introduced themselves. So I asked the teacher then, would it be okay if I done it, that I felt I needed her? And she said, yes, fine. Are you sure, like, you're going to be okay? There might be backlash.
Okay.
And I thought, no, I'll be grand. And then I thought to myself, oh, Jesus, I never thought of that. What if there is backlash, if there's someone giving out? And then she wanted to bring up a school counsellor. And I thought, oh, I said, oh, no, I said, it's okay, not making a big thing out of this.
It shouldn't be. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did it go? You did it?
Oh, well.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And Becky, how long would the period of, I suppose, from when you first came out in that grow group and told everybody, how long until, say, when you were then doing somebody else's makeup? Is that a short period of time, or was that a long?
Well, I was in grow maybe 2 years or less before I came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it was through growth, the encouragement, and doing the little tasks every week. And I forget what they're called. We used to call them the one-liners in our group.
Oh, the wisdoms, yes. And I think you mentioned some of the wisdoms in your story. Just one thing I'd love to know about, because it's, I suppose, coming to a grow meeting and being there for a year or two, the fact that you had something that you weren't comfortable to disclose yet. Did you still feel you could connect with the other members of the group, even though you weren't, I suppose, ready to tell all at that stage?
Oh yeah, like before I come out to the group, like everyone, as I said, we're like just one family. It's like going off and seeing your friends every week.
Yeah.
And I said, because I had lost my parents as well.
Yeah.
A lot of that, like one of the ladies that was there, she had lost her husband. Okay. And I used to listen to her and how she was struggling with it. And I remember one day, from listening to her, it kind of hit me why I was visiting the graveyard every week. And sometimes I might go 2 or 3 times a week. Okay. And then it just struck me one morning in the grow, listening to this other lady talking. I thought, Jesus, I'm going every week because it's the closest I'll ever be to him physically again.
Yeah.
And it was just, as I said, I was dealing with both my identity and dealing with my grief at the same time when I had joined grow. And then, like I said, I had joined at one stage, I had managed a new charity shop. Okay. But I was in there as well, I was having struggle. And yeah, so Grow then was really encouraging and helped me get through things.
Okay. And how difficult would the anxiety, was it impacting on your daily life?
Yeah, it would have been my daily life. Some days it's still there, like it never really goes, but yeah, I'm just batting it more than I was.
Okay. Yeah, and you've found, I suppose, is it page 26 where we have the crisis management in the book about just trying to define exactly what it is, to be definite with what it is we're worrying about, and working, I suppose, using those little pieces to help manage the anxiety.
Exactly. One of the members is brilliant every week. It'd be always signposting every, let's say, like if somebody couldn't advise anyone in the group, but he was able to signpost it to where you could get help.
Okay.
So he was signposting me one day, was it, to the Kilkenny Recovery College.
Brilliant.
And I thought that was fantastic. From there now I've got into meditations, and I have a door and I have it full of, I don't know what you call them, some kind of stuff like, say, from speeches or quotes from Gandhi. There's another one that I have on the wall, don't take your thoughts as fact.
Yes.
Again, it's like to grow the words of wisdom.
Yeah. So the feelings are not facts. That's probably the biggest revelation that I got from the grow book. Just because you feel something doesn't mean it's the way it happened.
Exactly.
And I suppose, how long would you have felt that the program and the wisdom of what you were hearing in the groups every week did you kind of know straight away this is going to change my life for the better, or did that take a while to sink in?
About the maybe fourth or fifth meeting, I really started to feel at home, and the more I got to know people, and then like we'd have those kind of social gatherings where then you got to know people outside the Grow meeting. I kind of just rejoined the Grow lately, but even like the group that I was in, I'd still meet some of them members, and they'll shout over across the road to me, or I have a chat.
Yeah.
So it's great, like to still meet everyone. But just because you might have left Grow doesn't mean that people have left you. But people are still, you're still in contact with people that you would have been in that group, like.
Yeah, and I can totally see the kind of the comfort or the at peace. I get a sense that you're very, very content. Which I'm sure, roll back a few years, that may not have been the case, but that's definitely kind of the aura you have when I'm talking to you today. Is there anything in COVID, did you find that things were difficult?
A lot of my friends, especially those in the community, were all outside of Kilkenny.
Okay.
Like my best friends now, like again, they'd be around Dublin awfully, and I couldn't reach them. I couldn't go to support groups. But even though the only thing that was good with call it the Zoom was it allowed me to go to different support groups around the country. Like there was one in Greystones, I might go to Kerry another week. So
that helps.
About petrol or anything like that, or
exactly. Yeah. No, that's brilliant. Well, listen, that's just been so helpful. As I said at the start, you're just such a wonderful example of somebody coming to a Grow mental health support meeting and just growing from there and taking on the helping others and really spreading that message of support. And I can see very much from you that helping others is helping you, and that's what it's all about. So thanks a million, Becky, and I hope even listening to this helps some other people as well. So thank you so much.